Hey everyone, I am Pastor Michelle here at Harmony Creek Church, and I just want to offer up a short reflection about church camp. So, we had this past Sunday, we had our youth stand up, some of our youth stand up and talk about their experience at BYC, which stands for, it used to stand for Baptist Youth Camp, now it is BU Camp, I believe. And I had the wonderful opportunity to visit there when I first started at Harmony Creek Church, and it was amazing. It was such an experience because I've never been at a church camp that was inclusive. You know, I grew up in a very conservative fundamentalist church, Southern Baptist. And I remember going to church camp. I went when I was in 7th grade. And I hated every single second of it. There was a lot of preaching, a lot of being told I'm going to hell. I remember also that I was the only youth, only female, only girl youth from my church that went. There was also 2 other kids, and the 2 other kids happened to be the senior minister's grandkids. So of course they went. And then I went. And I had to bunk with the pastor's wife, who when you're 13, I believe I was 13, when you're that young, and you're having to room with someone that is in their, I believe she was probably in her 60s back then. When you're young, everyone seems old, right? And I remember thinking, man, I have to bunk with this adult, and I can't bunk with people my age. And she had one of those, and this was back in the 90s. She also had sleep apnea, I believe it's called, and she had to sleep with one of those machines. And back in the 90s, they weren't as high tech as they are now. So it was like this huge machine, and it was so loud. And actually, there was other youth in the room to begin with, that were gonna room in that where the bunk beds were, and they actually left because they saw this adult from my church bring out this huge machine that she was going to sleep with every night. It was a miserable experience. And then flash forward to when I went as a counselor. After I had graduated from high school, I went as a counselor to youth camp we had taken the youth to Cedarville. They used to have a youth camp. I don't know if they still do, but Cedarville had a youth camp. And I remember going as a counselor to that, and that was also just sermon after sermon, altar calls and all that stuff. I think I went forward every night because your emotions get the better of you, right? And I was 19, and so of course I went forward every night. Camp. That was camp for me. So flash forward again to the year I got to go to BYC. And when I say I went for like 2 days. I went up on a Thursday, and I spent the whole day Thursday, and I spent the night, and I came home on Friday. And I don't like sleeping outside very much. So I may never, if I go back to BYC, I will definitely probably stay at a hotel nearby. But I remember just from the moment I got there to the moment I left, it was this groundbreaking experience, because I was like, I never knew camps like this exist. Like, I had heard about it and people talked about it a little bit when I first started at Harmony, but I wanted to see it for myself. And it was a life-changing experience for those youth. And I'm so incredibly grateful that those youth get to experience that. They get to go to that camp and experience an inclusive atmosphere, one in which their full selves are welcomed, and not only welcomed, but celebrated. And it's not all about altar calls, and it's not all about having to sit through sermon after sermon and services after services. The kids had a lot that they got to do throughout the day. And I love that I got to be there for the variety show that they had, because it was such a powerful experience. I remember one kid went up there and she was terrified. She was just absolutely terrified, and she was going to sing. And I think she sang she ended up being too afraid to sing the whole song, but she sang some of it, and then she left the stage. But the applause and the support and the excitement and just the encouragement that she received, even after she walked off the stage, was just, it was something else. So I'm just so grateful that our youth get something that I did not get to have when I was a youth. So I'm going to be the biggest proponent going forward for this camp. So for next year, if you have a youth between the 7th and 12th grade, I highly, highly encourage you figure out a way. I hope that your youth can go to camp, because this camp that our youth get to go to is phenomenal. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for it. Because one of the reasons I like to think, because someone asked me the other day, after I kind of talked about all the things I went through in my upbringing with church, a lot of the trauma, a lot of the hurt that I received at the hands of people in the church, not at the hands of God, but at the hands of God's people. And they asked me, why on earth did you become a pastor? Because you would think someone that has been hurt by the church as much as I have, and even others, you would think that would deter me from wanting to go into ministry. Because now church is my life. Going to church is part of my life. It's a big part of my life. It's a call. It's my call. And the reason when I like the answer that I gave was because I wanted to offer something different. Something vastly different than what I had. I wanted to offer up a vision of God that is not centered around fear and intense fear. That is not centered around guilt and shame. I wanted to offer up a vision of God that's centered around, first and foremost, love and compassion and non-judgment, just full on embracing people for who they are, wherever they are on life's journey, right? I wanted to offer that up. And I like to think that I offer up to the world too, and offer up to the community a different way of looking at what a pastor is. I don't want to be your typical pastor. I want to be the pastor who is fully Michelle Wilkie. And I am unique. And I am someone that is very honest, and I always share with people that what I'm struggling with as well. So I offer up that I too struggle, that I too don't have it all together. I will be fully honest and transparent right now that one of the things I am struggling with the most is my own physical health. I have spent so many years focusing way too much on other people and not enough on my own care. And now that I finally am taking the time to take care of myself, it feels like a big old mess. I'm a diabetic, and I have not been taking care of myself in that way. So now my numbers are all messed up, and I'm struggling a lot with feeling pretty awful most of the time because my blood sugar is really high. And I'm wearing a continuous glucose monitor now. And I'm hoping by changing habits that I have, by changing eating habits, exercising, that I can bring my numbers down. But it's scary because I don't feel very good so much of the time. So I share all that because I'm struggling. And there's a part of me that feels like I wasted so much time when I first was diagnosed with diabetes not taking care of myself. So I just feel a little bit guilty about that, and I feel a little bit like a failure, but I'm trying to move past that and just see that, what can I do now? Okay. Sorry, I got a little bit off the camp topic. I'm just saying, I just wanted to share that I'm a pastor that likes to be honest and to be my full self. And that is what I want everyone of all ages to be able to find at Harmony Creek Church, to be able to find at camp. I want all ages, right? And that is what the youth find at BYC. They find a place to belong. I have found a place to belong in Harmony. And I hope you will come and visit us sometime. And I hope that you too find a place to call home. Much love, my friends.